Yeah. uh-huh. Yeah. Shit. Grams leaders CC's, pounds. Close cash, close call, close encounter, close up, pounds of leaders of grams, get your dosed up, cut this up and post up, and get dosed up. This for them voted like the move and make the most of. Monday night at 8, I can't wait to set you straight. These opinions and debates, for them folk they can't relate. I got to elevate your mind through these signs of the time. Dishing out that medication for that deaf, dumb and blind. And I ain't hard to find, you can catch me in no street. Do the groundwork and I ain't waiting on no sense. I be touching on them topics politicians fail to mention. And I don't vote for nobody that ain't got good intentions. I'm relentless for my people and I'm here to make a change. I got that true serum hooked directly to your vein. Hey, this is for my people, tune in, catch a close up. Close up, close up, a close up. Grams of it, tune in, liters of it, close up. Pounds of it. Pounds of it, yeah, grams of it, liters up, pounds, get your dosed up, dosed up. Dosed up.
Hey, get dosed up. It's Monday, 8 o'clock. Oh shit, let me do it real quick. Something just shot off real quick so you know Lab is in the building.
That's right.
I'm a sharpshooter, aka Dose.
That's right.
And I believe this weekend was a 420 weekend. There's some folks still on the moon, I bet.
Did
know.
Did you go to the moon?
Oh man, I've been on the moon, bro.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
I guess I went through that Kuiper belt we were talking about the other
Okay,
day.
the other day, right?
Yeah. It was also,
week.
that's a belated birthday to my boy Killer Mike. That's
Right. Did you
420.
Go to the Freaknik festival?
No, I did not. No, I
Oh.
was behind the scenes doing some things with the A&Rs and all of that.
Okay.
But yeah, we cooking up something, you know.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you say you was on the moon, so you didn't partake in any of the
None of that
festivities
Gobby
this
Road
weekend,
stuff
huh?
and all that.
No.
No. I had to make the rounds, man. You know, I went to like a little visual, man. That was heartwarming, you know.
Okay.
Actually, Killer Mike baby mama was at that, so you know I
Okay.
chopped it up with her. It was good seeing her, Mimi. You know, shout out to Mimi. Good seeing her for a minute. You know, I was with the VP G. You know
Okay.
what I'm saying? GG McGee, Skeet, cousin Skeet. You know, we just chopping up big plans of what we got coming up.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
then,
So you just sound like you just had a chill out weekend.
Oh
then.
yeah, man. I also saw some spoken word, man.
Okay.
You know, that was pretty dope.
What was that at?
Oh, that was at the event center over there off of Cascade. I think it's right behind that Smoothie King. Something
Oh,
like that.
okay.
Yeah, Bella Black performed. She was dope.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
So yeah.
You got some things in.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, it's about to be one of them damn near every weekend something going on, man. I actually
Right.
got a meeting to attend tomorrow. So
That hot weather coming. It's time to get that
yeah.
work
Oh
in,
man.
right?
Oh. See, speaking of that, you know, I snuck in a tat this weekend too.
Oh, okay.
Went
Okay.
got tatted up. You know.
Oh, okay. Was it a big tat or a small one?
It's a piece that's going onto my sleeve, so it's fairly decent size. you
Oh,
know.
okay.
Letting
Okay.
that thing heal up.
Okay.
And I break it out summertime. You know. Getting that gym and
You
going
gonna
ahead.
break it out when you get in that gym.
Yeah, man, I look like a coloring book. So
That's what's up.
yep.
That's what's up. So what's up? What we talking about today?
Well, first I want to piggyback off of something. This is like a little topic, you know, that's kind of trending or a little bit popular right now. It is piggybacking off of what I was speaking on last week about like natural, you know, nature kicking in and
Right,
natural
right.
phenomenons and things that happen like that. And so right now, what they got going on in Dubai with the flooding, you know, a lot of people are trying to look at that and say that, oh wow, you know, we're in the last days and things, but they didn't necessarily mention how Dubai had been cloud seeding, you know.
Oh, okay.
And that's kind of like trying to play God. That's when you're intentionally making like the clouds. Actually, I can give you the definition of it. It's adding tiny particles into a cloud to give moisture to something to attach to, and it forms droplets. And those droplets gradually become heavy enough to produce the fall of rain from
Right.
that cloud.
Right.
So they said they got like about 2 years worth of rain in a couple of days or in a day or so. So
Airport was underwater.
hey man, they had a cat hanging on to a little truck or something like that, or a car. They say the camels got water coming up to their back. They basically floating. And I mean, sometimes you shouldn't play with nature. Although you may know how to manipulate nature in certain ways, you can't control the amount of rain coming. You can't control the length of time it's gonna come. You can't control the volume of it, like the density of that rain. Sometimes you got light drizzle. This shit is like a torrential downpour on these folks. So you know, be careful of what you putting out there in them clouds and them chemtrails and all that other stuff.
Line Lady Love, hey, how you doing? She says, was this the first time they did that?
Oh no. They've been doing that before. And see, you never know. This could have just been the straw that broke the camel. No pun intended. The straw that broke the camel's back over there in Dubai. I mean, you can only get away with doing things for so long. I mean,
so how they been practicing? Like they've been doing it the whole time. It's just that it finally caught up with them this time.
Well, okay, I give you another way. We all can manipulate and we all can start a fire. But you know what happens when you play with fire? Sometimes it get out of control. Right. So you playing with nature, and it got out of control. I mean, you know,
them folks is having a fit over there.
But just think of it though, because I'm about to like get into what the topic is really, and that's like influential people and the things that they've been able to do or invent or create. And the minds behind just simply, hey man, let's see if we can make it rain. I mean, literally, it ain't talking about with no money. This, you know? And it's interesting because I can see on one hand where you don't want a drought, but then do you go against nature if it's supposed to be a drought? Do you just let it happen? Because we're gonna get into that could be population control. What if nature is telling you it's time to ease up because it's feeling like it's being ravaged? Right.
You don't let the natural progression happen. You try to intervene in that progression, and nature always wins.
Or check this out. It could be like, man, y'all got enough. You just ain't living right. Right. You not rationing it. You're indulging in more than what you need.
That's deeper. Mother Nature saying, hey, turn them faucets off. You building too many houses, too many subdivisions. Hey, you getting plenty of water.
It's affecting the growth of things. Right. As well as I don't know if my people remember, but last week we were talking about like life and death is also a part of that. So life is a part of nature, right? So if you produce too much population, or if you overpopulate, produce more life than what you have, maybe vegetation, or maybe than you have space for, maybe nature might be trying to correct it. Right. So like I say, you know, be careful. Although, you know, it's a bright mind, it's a scientific mind that can create rain. Damn, because I would have never thought of that.
Oh yeah, I mean,
you know,
you think
sometimes
about,
you got to keep it in the bottle though.
You know, all the stuff that they create, and we'll go down that list for some of these people that created some of this stuff. You think about how they harness power, how they harness light, how they harness, you know, all these things and do tests. You know, see what the speed of light is and all that stuff. I mean, light is just light. It's still nature. I mean, I don't think we're supposed to know the speed of it, but we do. You get what I'm saying? So
well, and see, that's why I have like a lot of respect for like the Teslas and things like that. That wanted to do it or wanted to harness nature and let everyone benefit from it.
Have it for free.
Exactly. You see, take nature to move things because wind moves, you know, but instead, you know, they'll create something from a machine that can make something move and charge you. You see what I'm saying?
For it, right?
Hell, shit, I mean, like making something where we can probably purify water should be free. You know, but you got to pay for the water and pay for the purification of it. You know, things like that.
You know the guy who gave him the water wasn't in Flint. Yeah, he had that. You know, they trying to unalive him.
I mean, clearly. Well, okay, you had a guy that that could make a car run off of water.
Right, he disappeared.
And they poof. Right, maybe some magic. They turned into David Copperfield and David Blaine in this bitch.
You know, there's a guy who actually has a system where. I can't remember his name. I'll have to look it up later. There's a guy who actually has a system that recharges electric cars as you drive.
Wow.
So like what it does is as the car is driving, the system he has is hooked to the alternator, and as you're driving, it charges your batteries in your electric car, so you can go a longer distance. I've only heard of this guy one time. I haven't heard of him no more since, and this was months ago.
I mean, you got to look at it like you had to have. See, most of these inventions and things gonna go off of hypotheses and scientific methods and theories. So that means a lot of the times your prototypes are gonna require the least amount,
Right.
Because you ain't got the most money to start it. And
Right.
then when they start working, they build on it to make it better. But if you got something working with the least amount, you could probably perfect it. Like you
Right.
could have perfected it without the use of gasoline.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, realizing how valuable gasoline is,
Right.
and realizing how it's not I guess in abundance everywhere,
Right.
you're gonna use it to manipulate rather
Right.
than, oh yeah, we will take this prototype that you had that you began with that used the least amount and was actually working. We don't want that. Okay, give you a case in point, because I got them the Wright brothers with the plane.
Right.
Now clearly their plane ain't like a stealth bomber now, but it worked whatever they were doing at a particular point. Imagine if they fine-tune that per se to where certain people could use it maybe to get from town to town,
Right,
or to
right.
get from a county to county, and it was effective. I'm not saying you want to try to cross the state lines with it, you know, but let's say it could get them where you wouldn't need a private jet.
Right.
You see?
Right.
But
small spaces, small distances.
well, you got to think, man, as a civilization, we've lasted this long. And
Right.
when you're born with pretty much nothing.
But you know, all great civilizations have their reset.
Clearly
Lady
they
Lion
do.
Love. Yeah, I've heard of the recall on the truck is because of the gas. I'm sorry, not gas pedal, but the whatever it is that makes the truck go. What they call that?
What you say now?
The recalls on the Tesla trucks.
Ignition.
The ignition. Yeah, the ignitions are sticking. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So.
I mean, well, there's only but so much you need to be doing with technology with the vehicle too, though. I mean, you're trying to make it so smart, you're gonna have these different problems. That's like, man, you really got a computer in your car now. And see, computers, that's a business in itself. Now you're dealing with the fiber optics and the microchips and all that
Right.
other stuff that go behind it. And when you dealing with American muscle, we ain't used to that. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? We want to just get up under there and bink, tinker around with it, crank something up, put some diesel in there or some gas, and hit that 454 and skirt, you out of this thing.
454.
Now you beep and you
Right.
zzz, man, come on, shit sound like you're cutting hair in this bitch almost.
Well, it don't have no sound, does it?
When you hit it, you know.
Oh,
Well, the
okay.
Tesla don't. I give them that. And you know, man, I've been behind the wheel of one of them things, and I ain't gonna lie, it's like a roller coaster ride. Man. I mean, you see the wind. They got the navigation screen
Right,
and
right.
all of this other shit going on, and you ain't even gotta hardly touch anything. You know what I'm
It
saying?
already does it for you mostly.
Yeah, but you know, after a while, I like more control.
Right.
I'm old school, man. I'm a defensive
If
driver
you
at
have an
that.
accident, it's gonna be your fault.
Yeah, it
Not
definitely
the-
ain't gonna
not-
be.
not because the
it
car
ain't gonna be
turned left.
Siri and the computer Tesla's fault. Like I'm just, you know,
Right, right.
letting it drive. Oh no, then be like, oh wait, this shit going off a cliff.
Right.
Veer left. You know, you're not trying to steer. You veer left. Oh, hold on. Let me cut it off. No, bro, let me
The
see my
GPS
hands.
tells it to turn left, and the
Yeah,
only thing
yeah.
that's left is the ocean.
No, shit, me. You know what I'm saying? Hey, that thing better turn into a hovercraft.
Right. Late line left. I heard it was the ignition, but if it is the brakes, then it must be two of them because I heard it was the ignition today. So I don't know. Whatever it is, they recalling them, and those things are not cheap. I think those are like almost $200,000 for them Tesla trucks.
Well, I look at it like anytime you have a car that is pretty much more percentage of a computer than it is of like hardware, you're gonna have a lot of issues, man. Bugs. I mean, that's just how this thing goes. Soon, man, I can see people trying to download the drive.
That's true.
And you know, I mean, you're gonna have some similar problems that you would have with your iPhone or with your computers. So, okay, great minds in looking at the influential people, and this is like across the globe. I didn't do it like for westernized civilization. Although westernized people tried to steal some of these claims and some of these brilliant minds' ideas, they tried to stamp patents on it. But there's a particular book that they consider the most 100 influential people out
In history,
in history,
written in
historically.
1978, and just to let you guys know, this is their book.
Yeah.
This is their idea of what
Exactly.
the most 100 influential people is. I don't think I saw one black person on this list.
Nope.
So, And I looked hard.
We did.
They didn't even
you
have
know.
Martin Luther King on this list.
No, and they did have Martin Luther, but they
made
put
sure they
in parentheses,
not the King.
They air quoted that bitch,
Right.
not the King Jr.
Right.
So I mean, and that's cool. Well, it ain't cool, but when we start getting to some of these names, like I skipped the Greek philosophers because the names of these 100s, you might get a Greek philosopher in there, but the 100s, they're gonna attribute their knowledge to these Greek philosophers, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, these Greek philosophers got their knowledge from someone else too.
Right.
Socrates and all of these the Thales and the Aximiles and all them other folks, they got that knowledge, you know what I'm saying, from
Right.
the ancient Egyptians, from the Anunnakis, you know what I'm saying? They just didn't just wake up and get it out of the air and pass it on.
The Samaritans and all those.
They got that thing from the cuneiforms that they stole,
Mm-hmm.
or they offer them tombs and offer the
Definitely off them tunes they
yeah,
rated.
the sarcophaguses, whatever, you know, the all of that. They reading all of that, and a lot of the times they had to actually get the scribes or try to enslave someone or pay someone or bribe someone to decipher that.
Right.
I mean, it ain't like they knew all the languages, so you know, but that's just setting y'all up. Yeah, like Lab and I say, this isn't our list. All right, so
Let's be clear.
yeah, let's be clear of that.
Right.
And so we're gonna go down the list. We're not necessarily gonna say what all of them are famous for, what they've done. I will get to I have about 10 of them, and I'm gonna go in depth simply because of some of the things are still current, and I found them interesting. But the number one on that list that they have is Muhammad, and Muhammad is from 570 to 632, obviously BC, and there was a spiritual and political leader. I would say that's that would be Islam right there to me. You know, the very origin of it. If you're looking back at that,
He is a prophet of Islam.
Now, number second on this list would be Isaac Newton, and he's from 1643 to 1927, and he's a scientist. Because some of, I guess, the beliefs and what he's done is considered to be used today or influential today. I have a little bit of information on him. So first of all, if you could look this up for me as I go along with it, Lab, it says was an English polymath, active, I guess polymath mean, okay, multiple mathematicians. Isaac Newton, yeah. As a mathematician, a physicist, astronomer, chemist, theologian, and an author who was described as a natural philosopher. Okay, so they're just gonna make him theologian. They're gonna make him a philosopher then.
Right.
A key figure in the scientific revolution. And they say the Enlightenment that followed.
Yeah,
okay.
You know, during a certain amount of period, I believe between what year was that the Enlightenment happened? I think Thomas Jefferson was a part of the Enlightenment, but basically it was the Enlightenment period. Let me make sure we get this right, because I've read about it, but I want to make sure that I say the right things. It was basically dealing with, like Thomas Jefferson was exploring with electricity, you know.
Okay.
Before Thomas Edison harnessed it.
So,
but it was a lot of people exploring with those things. These are just people that they noted. But the Enlightenment period is a period of, you know, they said Isaac Newton
because I know
discovered gravity or something like that.
Well, the relative theory of it.
Right. Theory of
the thing is though, okay, so when they say enlightenment, the true enlightenment is wisdom and knowledge, you know, versus the materialism. Right. So this particular enlightenment in the scientific is where they're not guessing anymore. Right. You know, they're not suspecting. They're actually going out and applying that knowledge from them Egyptians and things like that. They're actually using nature. They're doing that the alchemy and in surgery and things like that to find out the existence of things and why we exist and why things happen.
Right. The Enlightenment period happened from 1685
Okay.
to 1815.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe you can go back to 1500s because I believe that Da Vinci was exploring the Enlightenment period too. You know, he was doing a lot of things like experiment with cadavers to catalog the human body itself. So I believe he was a part of the Enlightenment. But the Age of Enlightenment was an intellectual. The Age of Enlightenment was a reason and was an intellectual and philosophical movement that occurred in Europe in the 17th and 18th centuries. The Enlightenment featured a range of social ideas centered on the value of knowledge learned by way of rationalism and of I'm not going to say that word, and political ideas such as natural law, liberty, progress, toleration, fraternity, constitutional government, and the formal separation of church and state.
Okay, so these guys are basically, it sounds like talking about forming governments to a degree, or forming a rule, forming, okay, so when you start talking about the most influential in history, I like to get into like either their education, some of their early life, to see what factors contributed maybe to either their upbringing or their thought process. All right, so basically, it says that Isaac Newton's father, also named was Isaac, but died 3 months before he was born, and he was born prematurely. So he didn't even really have a father. And his mother pretty much gave him to the maternal grandmother to be raised.
Okay.
At one point, the mother didn't even want him being schooled. She wanted him in the farm. But seeing as though Isaac was born prematurely and was very small, he kind of had like a chip on his shoulder to try to have to prove a lot. And since his stature was very, I guess, considered to be weak and fragile, he had already adopted the mind frame and the mentality of having to be, he could outsmart or outthink everyone.
Right.
So, all right, from about the age of 12 until he was 17, he was educated at the King's School in Grantham. It taught Latin and ancient Greek, and let's say it was his significant foundation where he learned the mathematics. He also returned to it says Woolsthorpe, and it's I guess a Colesworth.
Okay.
To do some more schooling, but eventually ended up going back, like I guess, and get a master at that King's School. And like I say, he just basically distinguished himself by building sundials and models of windmills in this particular school while he was there. So a sundial and windmills, those deal with nature. I think that's kind of dope, because if you're a kid and you're building something, but it's not a toy, first of all, and it's involving specific things, like you got to know it for those windmills, you got to build it a particular weight, so that the wind, you know what I'm saying, build angles, a particular angle, so that the wind can hit it and make it blow,
hit it properly and move properly, like you trying to do. And
so
I think he was that was how he was trying to discover motion.
Wow.
Motion.
Okay.
The law of motion, acceleration, action and reaction. So he was experimenting with motion during those times.
Okay. And so it's like in 1661, it's I had definitely put there 1661. He was admitted to a Trinity College at the University of Cambridge. Also in Cambridge he had, oh wow, that's when he was awarded his MA. And then here we go. Okay, with the teachings of Aristotle.
Okay.
So, you know, once again,
Greek philosopher.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, man, that can't be the peak, or like your I would say your wealth pool of knowledge. We're gonna go straight to the Greek philosophers because
I think that they had that issue because, you know, during certain times translating Greek was easier. So you know what I'm saying? So translating Greek to English was a little bit easier. And the Greek philosophers had a lot of writings that didn't get destroyed. You think about a lot
Yeah,
of
they destroyed a lot of.
a lot of the writings that were destroyed. You know, Egyptian writings, you know, Samaritan writings, all that stuff was destroyed. You think about the Library of Alexander that they had that no one can seem to find because it was destroyed. It was burnt down in the fire. So Greek philosophers seem to have a lot of knowledge that was kept, that was secured and stored properly. So those are things that I mean, I think there's a library somewhere in England or Greece that you have to have a membership to go to because they have so many of these old writings stored in there. You got to actually have gloves to touch any of this stuff. So you think about that. That's why they go back to that, because that's really the only pool of knowledge that they have left that they can verify. You know what I'm saying? I guess.
So here's another thing, because I'm about to get into how they say Isaac Newton was damn near the father of calculus, but calculus is just a form of math, and we know they had mathematics and knowledge before Isaac Newton, because you have, we'll say, foundations in buildings and structures that were erected and built. In any instance where you have to build, you're going to have angles, you're going to have some kind of math. So my thing is, just what did he pull up out of the sky and call it calculus? You know, but it does say, like, okay, so, I mean, we're gonna get into how in 1666 is observed. Well, it says Newton observed that the spectrum of colors exiting a prism in the position of minimum deviation is oblong, even when the light ray. Oh wow, I see. I we getting where we're going with this. We're getting to a telescope now. All right. This led him to conclude that the color is a property intrinsic to light at a point which had until then been a matter to debate. Okay, so this Enlightenment phase, I dig it, man. I mean, because when you start, this is like when you take things apart, start trying to see how they work. When you start putting things up to nature and putting them to sunlight, seeing what happens when light starts reflecting. And I'm going on that because a lot of the elements you can see were used, or someone took that and combined it and used, let's just say, made a camera.
Okay.
Because I have a guy that was very instrumental in developing the camera.
Okay.
And it is so much that goes on inside of a camera, my guy. It got mercury and all this other stuff, heating mercury in it. Man, you know. And so I was just like, damn.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, just that. Like
in itself, right?
Yeah. So I get it with the Enlightenment. Okay, so I'm not gonna give Mr. Newton that much praise and credit. We'll move on,
right,
and go to some other people.
You guys look it up if you want to know more.
Yeah, exactly.
We gotta get through a list.
All right, yeah, and so number 3 on the list is Jesus. They got him 4 BC, 33 AD. So they got him before himself and after himself.
Right.
Spiritual leader. We all know the story of Jesus.
Right.
Okay. Then you have, it says, I'm gonna say this is Gautama Buddha.
Okay.
That's 563 through 483 BC.
Right.
Spiritual leader. We know about Buddha.
Right.
All right. Now this guy.
You know the 563 and the 483. And people saying, well, how is that possible? Because before the Common Era, the numbers were going down till you get to 0, and then they start going back up again. So I don't think a lot of people realize that.
Yeah. And okay. And like I say, 563 to 483 BC. So my thing is was it this long for, I think, Buddhism to become a cultural, phenomena? Or
I don't know. Buddhism wasn't, back in those times, you had a lot of Chinese lords and stuff, and kings that studied a lot of different things. They studied, depending on, some studied Confucianism, which is what, then some studied Buddhism. Then you had some that studied Taoism.
Yes,
so
I have that.
So a lot of them study certain different things, and depending who was in power at the time, is what was studied.
I get you.
You get what I'm saying? You had some who was trying to figure out how to live forever. Like that one king, I forget, was the Ming Dynasty, I believe it was, where he has a river of mercury in his tomb because he was drinking mercury because he thought it would make him live longer, forever rather.
So,
But that's how it killed him.
so okay, what you saying basically, I'm gonna validate it. To me, it's almost like you could have been an influential person based off of your money and your
Right.
status and
That's
your
true.
power.
And that's
And you could be a
that's it.
tyrant because look at Napoleon, because he's
Right.
on this list, and Napoleon ain't do shit but cause havoc. Genghis Khan as well, Adolf
Right.
Hitler. You see what I'm saying? So my thing is how much of this shit that we still do today is based off of someone who basically strong armed their influence, strong armed their position, took things. You see
You
what I'm
got
saying?
people strong arm in their position right now.
Exactly,
currently.
and we're seeing this now.
Uh-huh.
Like how some people would say, "We'll let's throw it out there for entertainment purposes." Some people are like, "Man, that dude suck. Like, how does his music or how do they stay on top for so long?"
Right.
It's because it's some backdoor shit going on with money going on, or he's doing something to stay on. Like the influence ain't the wisdom, ain't the enlightenment, isn't the
Right.
knowledge. It's something deceptive behind the scenes.
Right.
They paying to stay on. Wow, which is why when I start looking on the list of these 100 people that stand out that I kind of got a little bit of respect for would be like the Confucius.
Uh-huh.
The philosophers that had visions and thoughts of way of life to improve your perspective of things, and not necessarily like they influential because they had some money or they took some land and they in here tinkering with things, damn near blowing somebody up and creating a gun or something.
Right.
All right, so Confucius was this is 551 through, like you say, 479. It's going backwards, but was a Chinese philosopher of the spring and autumn period.
Right.
He's traditionally considered the paragon of Chinese sages. Wow. And just to be considered that is dope because right now everybody, I'm a sage.
Right.
So a paragon of damn near spiritual cleansing. This dude, just to say this man name then damn near should ring some bells, should cause a certain vibration. All right, Confucius' teachings and philosophies underpin the East Asian culture and society, and it says, and remain influential across China and East Asia to this day. His philosophical teachings is called Confucianism, and is emphasized personal and governmental. This is what I like: morality, correctness, social relationships, justice, kindness, sincerity, and rulers' responsibility to lead by virtue. Well, goddamn.
Right.
Hey man, every president need to go to the school. They need Confucius. What did I just say? Confucianism. That's what they need. Clearly they're not doing this. Clearly. This shit right here is the golden rules basically written out for you.
Right.
If you went by this is damn near like a Bible to go through. Because first of all, governmental morality. That means to govern the morals. So that means you're going to hold people accountable.
For
Not only
stuff. Right.
yourself, but the people around you.
Right.
We all need that shit. Then not only that, if you couldn't get the governmental morality right, you got correctness. So that means now you're going to look within yourself and around others to correct this shit, right? Then he emphasized the personal. You see what I'm saying? So it's personal. So you can't just see. I like that because everybody be like, business never personal. This business.
Right.
So what does that mean? If it's business that gives you the reason to be unethical or something, you
Right.
take your personality out of it. You take your morality out of this shit because you do business. No. And then it say okay, sincerity. Now, if you sincere with somebody, you ain't gonna try to get over on them. I sincerely think not.
Right.
Okay, and then kindness. So I ain't never really seen somebody kindly rob you. Can you kindly put your hands in the yes sir while I rob you? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay. So and then not only that, at the end he threw in, if you do have a ruler or if you are ruling, it's your responsibility to lead by virtue. Man, so I'm gonna leave it right there with Confucius. That's enough said right there by me.
Right.
Because you follow that even to this day, you be straight. You can follow this to the end of time.
Right.
That don't need to
be
change
good, right?
ever.
And be good.
And be good, yeah, and be good.
I don't think a lot of people read those books where
They don't.
in their totality. They don't read it all the way through. They just get bits and pieces of it,
Mm-hmm.
like they do all books. They take the parts of the books that are significant to what they're trying to get across, or significant to the point that they're trying to make you see. You get what I'm saying? So to their point of view. So it all depends. It all depends.
What I've been starting to do now, I've been starting to teach people through the ways of like nature. I use like similes, metaphors, and nature analogies. So like I was telling someone the other day, man, changing your perspective. Look at it like this: if you plant an apple seed, you're gonna have to water it or treat it different than you would maybe a coconut tree. You can't expect to put that seed in there, first of all, water it one time and think it's going to do what you want it to do. You're going to have a strategy, a plan. You're going to have some patience. And you're going to have to understand that you can't make it do what you want it to do when you want it to do.
Right.
Also, if you plant that apple seed and then you expect an orange, you already are planting seeds for failure. Know what you're planting. Know your goals. Know your limitation. And know how. And know why. And then you will start seeing the success that you're looking for. Right. You don't necessarily have to be one of these 100 greatest people, you know what I'm saying, to have some common sense or to be able to study and understand what nature is, because nature happens every day. And you're involved in it whether you want to be or not. Okay. Number 6 on this list, Paul the Apostle, or the Apostle Paul. Okay. This is 5 through 67 AD. And pretty much like the main writer or contributor of the New Testament of the Bible was. Okay. We got at number 7, I think this is like a Kowloon. That is 50 through 121 AD. Oh wow. Okay, this shit is awesome. This dude invented paper.
Right.
So hey, we all know how valuable
paper is.
Yes.
Right now.
Yeah, and I'm not even necessarily talking about the paper that you can spend as money. Imagining wanting, maybe trying to tell somebody something or show somebody something or remember something. You know what you do with paper. You write shit down. Paper is a good way to help things manifest. Paper is a good way to have a record of something. When somebody say something and be like, man, hey, but I wrote down the day and the time. Now you can damn near, you can video them. But back then, you could have definitely used paper. We using it now. I got it right now, y'all.
Right.
All right, notebook paper. Okay, so now we're going to a Johannes Gutenberg. Wow. Okay, so first person invented the paper. Now he invented the printing press. So they say. So you know what you can do with a printing press. You can make newspapers. Right. Shit, printing presses, you can make some money with it at some point after you start getting that. I mean, that's the beginning. That's like a baby template.
Right.
So, once again, like I was explaining how you can start out with something simple, like paper, and you can start out with something like a printing press and use those press to build off of and make templates.
It's a stark difference between how 1,000 years after paper was invented, then they invent a printing press.
Exactly.
Right.
And then I'll go before that. Before you had the paper, you had the papaya. I mean, the papyrus. When you writing on pretty much like leaves, are damn near.
Right.
Or you could do fabric. You see,
definitely
people write on themselves.
They was using fabric. What were they using in Egyptian times to write on? They were using.
I know it's cuneiform, but it was some. Yeah.
The fabric that they were writing on in Egyptian, I want to say it was papyrus. I could be wrong.
I think it was.
See, go on and out.
And what they were writing with, though, like hues and temperas and
papyrus.
Exactly.
They was writing hieroglyphs on papyrus.
Yep, and it's interesting because they could use certain types of like flower buds and things to try to create the ink or the color.
Right.
To man,
they were definitely using flowers to color those tombs.
I'm trying to tell you exactly, and the smoke.
You're right.
Too,
right.
So, all right, now number 8, y'all, man.
No, it's hieroglyphs. Slick. The Egyptians were using hieroglyphs, and Chinese used calligraphy.
And ain't it interesting that we call it graffiti? You see what I'm saying?
Right,
But
right.
it ain't new, man. You know. All right, this next person, y'all, he don't get no love from me, no credit, no nothing. I don't even know what the influence in this is. Mr. Christopher Columbus, y'all.
Oh,
We know the story behind this, and it said explorer. Okay, now they got it changed. They landed.
Right.
All right, and it say landed in America, and technically it wasn't even America. So you
right.
know,
What they call it? Well, we don't know. I don't think they even put that down.
exactly. You know, you landed somewhere where someone else had inhabited, basically.
Right.
All
You
right,
can't
so
discover something that was already
exactly, yeah, you didn't just
inhabited.
yeah. That's why I
At
say
least I don't think
landed,
you can.
stumbled upon and
I
shit.
think I could. Lord, if that's the case, I'm gonna go to your house today.
Yeah.
Tonight, and be like, you know what? I discovered this house.
Hey man, that's like me getting in your car and I find $100 in your back seat.
I discovered this honey.
Yeah, hey man, I found this. Like, how the hell you find something in my car? That shit was never lost, bro.
Right.
All right, so we skipping over this guy. Oh, now here's another one that we know of, Mr. Albert Einstein.
Okay.
All right, so Einstein, obviously, we know is a scientist in the theory of relativity,
Right.
which is the E equal MC squared. I don't even know how to apply the theory of relativity. You know, I'm just like,
Math wasn't my strong suit. in
it's
college.
not. You know, I'm not into all the quantum
I wasn't
physics
into
and things
that.
like that. Damn, shoot, I wish I could be damn near, but you know, that's above my pay grade.
Right.
How about we
Right.
say that? All right. Now we have a Louis Pasteur.
Mm-hmm.
All right, 1822 to 1895. Wow. Okay, I didn't know this, but he's a biologist. That basically had the cure for rabies and
Okay.
other infectious disease.
We still
And-
use that today, right?
Oh, clearly we do.
Most
And then-
definitely.
And then I do know he was with pasteurization. You know,
Uh-huh.
and that's with, I guess, you know, heating up and taking certain impurities and microorganisms out of the milk and things like that. So if you're a milk drinker, I guess you could be glad, you know, and thankful for him.
Yeah, he was the one who pasteurized your milk. Take
Mhm.
out it, but you know now they going back to they want unpasteurized milk.
Hey
They
man, they
want
can
all
have
the
that
diseases
mucus.
in it.
Yeah, I was like, they can have all that.
Right.
You know,
He was the one that discovered boiling stuff takes out the impurities in it.
yeah, but you know, now they say some of that don't even work now. Like they were like, as far as like boiling the water,
They
you
don't take the microorganisms
yeah,
out of it.
no, you still have some of it in there.
Right.
Well, you
Some of it is probably over. You think about over time,
Mm-hmm.
just time itself. You know how microorganisms and all that stuff can adapt. It can adapt to certain things, and it can adapt to environments, and then it changes, and then it's what they call that extermination proof.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That happens all the time. That's why they're constantly redeveloping.
I mean, you know, well, see, my thing is, some things don't need to be living or extended long, like your vegetation. Once you pull them roots up out the ground with your vegetables and things, I don't want you to develop a method where you have to use some type of chemical process to make the fruit last longer, because it's naturally not supposed to do that.
Right. Well, they already got that.
We are already trying to deal with the pesticides. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So
They already spray fruit and stuff for it can sit on the shelves longer in the grocery store.
but how you gonna have seedless fruit? You see what I'm saying? Like, we don't need. Oh, and you know, there are some countries, man, they ban and outlaw that GMO shit.
Right.
Like, they definitely encourage you. It's gotta be grown. It's gotta
Right.
have seeds. You know
Gotta
what I'm
have
saying?
seeds in it.
Yep. All right. So now we get into Galileo. Galileo, the scientist of the, what is this? The heliocentric view of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, you know, it
He
sounds.
studied the stars and mapped certain things in the stars. But he also was persecuted for it too. I think he got put in jail several times for it.
I mean,
because
see-
you know back then
mhm.
it was about the church, and the church didn't study the stars.
But let me tell you where they going, where I'm gonna go with this. That's why, and you don't see a lot of people like, it's not like we want to be as knowledgeable, but back then knowledge is what gained the freedom. That's why they tried to muzzle you. That's why they tried to hang you and kill you. They kept you from reading. They didn't want you to have knowledge.
Right.
They didn't want you to know shit. They didn't want you to be able to go out there and manipulate things, make shit happen, make your own, you know what I'm saying, grow your own food and things like that. Well, you did back then anyway because you had no choice.
Right.
But certain people, they wanted to keep you not knowing.
Keep you in the dark. In
yeah.
the dark.
Yeah, and then it's like, okay, your view could have made more sense scientifically and spiritually.
Right.
But just
right.
because maybe they had more money or had another a different opinion, you got to get killed for yours.
That's different.
All right, we got Aristotle, a philosopher, and they got polymath. You know, we have Euclid. Okay, Euclid is 325 BC to 265 BC. That's just a mathematician. All right, we have Moses. I think y'all know who Moses is. 1391. What is this? 1271. And this is what I find interesting. They have him credited as being like with Jewish, right, Christian, and Islamic history, and obviously the Ten Commandments.
Okay.
So that right there shouldn't be nothing wrong with us now. If you got them damn near all the religions right there to a degree, seriously, and you have the Ten Commandments to link all the religions. So I'm like, where do all of these spiritual holy wars coming from then?
Man, they're man-made.
Bingo.
They're coming from man. In the vision of man, they're all man-made.
And it looks like they confusing the origins of these things. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I guarantee you, if you go back to the like, if you were to get the Jewish teachings, the Christianity and the Islamic teachings from Moses, you probably wouldn't be, that Jew right there wouldn't be willing to kill that Christian. And you see what I'm saying? And that Muslim wouldn't be willing to kill that Christian at that particular time. I don't think. All right, so now we got Charles Darwin, which is basically theory of evolution. And that is that was from 1809 to 1882. Theory of evolution is pretty much come from that zygote monkey to what we are now.
Yeah, but he had some issues in the middle of there.
Of course.
He was a racist.
Yeah.
He believed that black folks were inferior in mind, thought, and all that, but superior because of our savageness. We were stronger and faster because we were savages, but we didn't have the mind capacity to be anything else but that.
So now my thing is, like, what be wrong with these folks that if you can see a culture and a civilization advance, one, any type of advancement right there shows that you have you've intellectually adapted,
right,
and have overcome some things. So we were at the beginning of the advancement and advanced further than everyone. So how you gonna first of all take a color that ain't even black anyway? It's copper or brownish. But how you gonna take a color and deduce it to action, negative action at that?
Right.
When you've already seen one that this particular color that you're looking at has survived. You see what I'm saying? And you literally taking some of the shit about some of our knowledge.
Right, of course.
You could take this, but say we savage.
Right.
A savage ain't doing shit you can use.
We can show you how to grow rice and vegetables in a barren place, but we savages.
Even set up a form of government.
Right.
Even irrigate.
Right. Irrigation
and first aid.
Processing, animals and fruit and stuff, and bathing.
Hey.
But I'm gonna digress on that one.
Exactly. So now we have, what is this, Shi Hong Qi, and this is 259 to 210 BC, and it's he united different regions of China, so he was considered to be the king of the state. So I like anyone that will unite if you're not gonna do it in a violent way, because you can see unity that transcends generations. Because I will say, man, if you talk to a Chinese person, they be serious about their heritage.
Oh, they be very
and
serious.
You can't call them Japanese. You see what I'm saying?
They don't play. They know their heritage. That's the thing. They know.
Yeah.
They know all their history.
All down to them dynasties. Fifth dynasty. I mean, this dynasty, that dynasty. You see what I'm saying? And I don't do nothing but respect it. You know what I'm saying? Because once again, knowledge is to be respected, especially if you have knowledge of self, because knowledge of your past is definitely knowledge of self.
Qin Shi Huang was the first emperor of China.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And rather than maintain the title of king, born by the previous Shang or Shu rulers. He assumed the invented title of emperor.
Oh wow.
So,
Okay.
which would continue its use by monarchs in China for the next 2 millennia. So
Uh-huh.
he invented emperor,
Okay.
the term emperor.
Okay.
ruler.
And see, that's why sometimes it's good to just do history checks on people that are, I guess I would say, held with high praise,
Mhm.
because you learn who they looked up to, or you learn what methods, or you learn their teachings, and then by learning their teachings, you're gonna learn who taught them, or it's a domino effect. Okay, so we got Augustus Caesar, who's considered in 63 BC to 14 AD. That's the first emperor of Rome. But there you go. He can be considered an emperor because of what you just told me.
Right.
Emperor had just been created, or that term, or that phrase. We got Nicholas Copernicus, 1473, 1543. Okay, this guy's pretty much just mainly known for thinking or saying, and his theory is that the sun is the center of the universe. That's a pretty dope theory. We all know the sun is very important. You get your vitamin D from it.
But
Get,
he stole that idea.
of course, man.
You
Come
know-
on, man.
You know that
We got sun gods, bruh.
You
Come
know
on.
that the Egyptian king Akhenaten was
Amen Ra and all of that.
but Akhenaten was the one who basically was saying that the sun
Mm-hmm.
is the center of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
He said that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And he
Changed the
missed
religion in when he became ruler of Egypt for that small. I forget the amount of time, but I read the book about him. When he became ruler of Egypt in that small amount of time that he changed the religion from the gods that they previously worshipped, which was Ra and all those. He changed them to the sun god, which is Akhenaten, which is I think son of the sun or something like that. So he actually believed that the sun was the center of the universe. He believed that the sun gave us everything that we needed, nutrients and all that stuff. So he was before this guy, whoever
clearly
by thousands of years.
I think this guy was trying to nail home with his mathematics that the earth wasn't the center, I guess. Which, I mean, I guess if that was enlightening and groundbreaking for them back then, when once again, like we were discussing, man, that's why I really didn't care too much about rattling off the Greek philosophers, because we know where they got theirs from.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, Buddy ain't really hitting on too much, but they got him up there with that.
Okay.
All right, and then we have Antoine Laurent, and this is 1743 to 1794. Basically a chemist and biologist, and had one of the leading impacts, they say, on chemical revolution. That would be depending on the chemicals that he's dealing with.
Right.
Because I could tell you right now, in 1743, chemicals and all that existed before you, because them the minerals and elements.
Well, maybe
and
he
if you
mixed
into
them
alchemy, that's before it. But
maybe he was mixing them together to discover other things.
yeah, maybe chemicals that we could probably ingest or something.
Or
Who knows?
chemical compounding chemicals to create other chemicals.
Or
maybe that's what
chemistry.
that's what he was doing.
All right, so now we have Constantine the Great, the Roman Empire.
You know what he did,
Emperor.
right?
Clearly.
He was the first emperor to put the cross on the shields of his warriors when they was at
Accepted the
war.
Christian
He accepted
religion.
Right,
Mhm.
right. And he changed the Roman
But
religion to
they
Christians.
some kind of say it was for propaganda, to gain favor and gain power.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
I don't know.
And then we have James Watt,
Mm-hmm.
1736 to 1819, Scottish engineer. Basically was efficient with the steam engine. There we go. Now that ain't oil, that's steam,
water,
coal, fire. You see what
Water.
I'm saying?
Right,
And you can make boats and shit move with that.
right.
So a boat now, which weigh more than a car. You see where we going? Sometimes folks just be trying to use that oil just to get all that money.
It's called that money. Yeah.
Oil money, so they say.
Right.
You ain't heard steam money, have you?
No, I've never heard of steam money.
Oh shit. Okay. Heard no steam money.
No.
All right. So now we got Michael. What is this? Far Lady. 1791.
Faraday.
Okay. From 1867. Basically, he had a lot to do with electrochemistry and electromagnetism. Okay.
Did he discover the electromagnetic field?
I don't know if he discovered it, but I'll tell you something that's interesting as far as with when you get into this quantum physics and all this electromagnetism and all this other things with polar opposites and using the poles, man. So I seen someone lift paper with scarab beetle wings. Man, dude, that shit is awesome to me. Like, I'm like, man, you know,
Right.
get the wings and try to put the wings together, and the wings repelled it. And
But
if you get enough of them, it starts going in circular motions.
So let me tell you again, Egyptians worship scarabs. That was a part of their. They when they have certain things, scarabs was a part of their worshiping thing. Yeah.
You see all the symbols,
Right.
and they would engrave them in some of
see
the
the scarabs,
masks or
yeah.
put them on their tombs and things. All right, we got James Clerk Maxwell, 1831, 1879, Scottish physicist, basically electromagnetism. So it looked like right around the 1800s and stuff, they started playing with with magnets,
Magnetic fields.
Magnetic fields.
Right.
Which is Earth produces that as well.
Of course.
There's certain spots on Earth where it's higher.
And that's how we keep how they keep the Earth on axis. Yeah.
Now we have,
Off that axis, we all are done for.
of course, man. It's so much that, like I say, that go on naturally on a daily basis. If the one small thing happen, we out of here.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'ma skip Martin Luther just because they wanted to tell us it wasn't the Martin Luther King.
Right.
Y'all don't need to know nothing about that man. Years and what he did, it ain't even important to me.
Yeah, we gonna skip right
We
on.
skipping
by
over
him.
that dude.
Right.
All right, now number 26 though, they got George Washington, first president. He really wasn't even that influential to me. You know what I'm saying?
Especially when he owned 577
exactly.
slaves.
And just because you were a president,
And that's not a
during
made up number. That's an exact.
Yeah.
577 slaves.
during a time when there was a lot of racism going on, and during a time when y'all are trying to form the country, like put the laws in place, put the Declaration of Independence and all this other kind of crazy ass shit in that. Nah, y'all really don't get no credit for that. All right, now we got Karl Marx. He really wasn't that hot either. But 1818 through 1883 with the communist philosophy. Communism. You know,
Still a lot of communists. That's what Russia is, a communist country, right? China, they say that's a communist country.
Yeah.
At one point, America, I think in the 1930s, 30s, 35, 33, 34, they had a communist party.
Okay. What up, Stan? I see you just tuning in. I mean, see, here's the thing with these parties. Some of them do have good views.
Now, see, the Communist Party in America at that time was actually in the 1930s. That was after the Great Depression, and Roosevelt was in office, and he gave this great deal for the white folks, but not a great deal for black folks. The Communist Party was actually helping black folks get into unions and help them. You get what I'm saying?
And that's why I don't really like the politics, because politics change as egotistical people change. Because communism had, like I say, good qualities from what you were saying, but now if they call you a communist, you damn near like shadow banned and shit. Like
I'm not saying that they were gonna be great for us down the long run. But at that time, when we were so marginalized as a people, especially after the Great Depression, they helped us get unions and helped us form where we get decent wages and stuff like that. And it may have been just a political play, just to get if they decide to run for office to get our votes to make us feel like they're going to help us, and then drag our ass,
Yeah.
but
I mean, that's where you got to read between the lines, that
Right.
fine print.
right.
Okay, so we got at 29 the Orville brother. Well, Orville and Wilbur Wright,
Mm-hmm.
1871 through 1948. Obviously, they were dealing with the first aeroplane, as we would say, meaning a plane that can pretty much fly through the air. Because obviously, it ain't like what we have now, stealth bombers and things like that.
Right.
But they quote unquote got the ball rolling.
Mm-hmm.
But there were some things on some walls and some tombs,
Right.
that resembled flight and this and
Right.
But we'll leave that for another day. At 30, they got Mr. Genghis Khan coming in.
Right.
We already know how the Mongolians did it. So,
right.
All right. Wait a minute. That was 20. Yeah. So now we have Adam Smith. What is this? This is 1723 through 1790. He was a Scottish philosopher, and pioneer of classical economics. Can you look up classical
I was about
economics?
to say, what the hell is classical economics?
Cause that we could use economics.
Maybe
though.
it's just old economics.
Classical.
Just old economics. If it doesn't apply to us, I mean, if it doesn't apply to us, we don't need it.
But see, as the economy goes, so goes the people.
Right.
If the economy shit shot, believe it or not, we are too.
Classical economics is a school of economic thought that advocates for private ownership of business. We already in there.
Okay.
Private ownership of businesses, empowered individuals, and a labor-based theory of value. The theory of value is a concept in which an item derives its worth from consumers from the resources that it took to make that item.
Okay,
So we're already in
not
classical
but it's not fair then. We actually going against. Oh, check it out. Yeah, the classical economics definitely applies. Remember when candy was like 5 cents and shit like that, right? Okay, does classical economics make sense when that same damn candy is like $2.50?
Yes.
It do because of the time.
No, because of the concept in which the item derives its worth from the consumers that of the items that make it. So basically, if peanuts go up to $1, and you need peanuts and chocolate and all those items that form that candy bar go up.
Oh, okay.
So does the candy bar.
All right,
so that's the concept of that.
So, all right, well then, what about when you get it in concessions, like when it be at the airport in the movies and shit,
Right.
and it's
Well, it
more
all
inflated?
applies. It all applies because I'm gonna give you why it applies because it is the thought of private ownership, which is what we have now. So private ownership within businesses. So like you can own a business, I can own a business. We can be private owners now. Most times it's just private owners, and then they go public. You get what I'm saying? So so we're already in the classical economics theory because you have individuals owning companies.
Yeah, and damn near
businesses.
But these individuals damn near the conglomerate though.
Right.
They damn near own. What they do is they own all the businesses because they subsidize them up under umbrellas and shit.
Right, but applied to this theory, we are currently doing that now. So it's already a theory that's in place.
All right. 31 out of that, the 100 most influential. We got William Shakespeare, and it's been said he's plagiarized. And this is what I like to say too now. All right, he's from 1564 to 1616, right? This English playwright and poet. So this is what I wanted to say because I'm an artist and I write. You know what I'm saying? I can write plays, I can write books, things like that. I write poems and all of this. And what I have to say to this is, Shakespeare shit ain't all that to me anyway. Also, I'm serious.
You gotta know how to read that shit.
You do first,
you gotta know how to read that shit.
But the shit is very marginalized. It's very time period. So I got to say, like, they were bored as fuck back then. Yeah, you could have been dope. That Shakespeare shit probably sounded great then, but applied to today,
they didn't have nothing else to entertain them.
That's what I'm saying. You see what I'm saying? It wasn't like they could listen to no radios, no TVs or nothing. So hither thou shalt there probably sounded great to them.
Let's not do that.
I'm just saying, man. It don't sound great to me.
It does not.
And on top of that, some of it could have been plagiarized.
And they said that someone else wrote his plays.
Now
he presented them as his own, but he stole them from someone else. This is what they say.
Now,
allegedly.
This is what I will give credit for. Now, the sequential order, I'll say the topics of the plays possibly, like what you supposed to get out of it, what you know, the karma in it.
Okay.
That I'll give it credit. But see, you can get that shit from Aesop. With Aesop's fables. I like Aesop fable type shit more than Shakespeare type stuff. If you really want to, you know what I'm saying, learn a lesson or a moral in this, you know, like you got the Odyssey with the Homer and all this other stuff.
Right.
Okay, well, once again, I get down with Aesop's fables and this man using fucking insects and ants and shit. And goats and caterpillars. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But that sounds entertaining to me. That's nature in front of your face.
Right.
You can use, and you're using nature to teach a lesson. What you getting from Shakespeare, man? How to stab somebody in the back and wear a wig doing that
Pretty
shit?
much.
Okay.
Pretty much.
All right. So now we got coming in at 32, a John Dalton, 1766 through 1884. Basically a chemist and physician. Oh, yeah. Atomic theory. That's when they starting to play with the atomic theories. You're getting into the atom bombs and shit, nuclear energy. You want to blow some shit up. You know, them the power hungry ones to me.
Right.
I want to dominate shit, destroy shit ones.
Right.
All right, Alexander the Great. Here we go. So you one of the most 100 influential people in history, but this ain't nothing but looting. You know what I'm saying? Impaling and shit.
Well, you know,
military leader.
Yeah, they say he was one of the best military leaders of all time, but
There was somebody else.
They just didn't.
They didn't get that person credit.
Right, or they didn't document it.
Okay,
it wasn't documented. I'm quite sure there was a few other leaders of military leaders that were a little bit more advanced or more dominating. I mean, shoot, the guy we talked about from China, he united all of China. He had to do it with the warring states, so he might have been considered better than, you know.
Here go another tyrant. Like I said, just because you have power, how you got it means a lot. You see what I'm saying? See, power shouldn't necessarily always equate to influence. Napoleon Bonaparte.
It does always.
1769 through 1821. French military and political leader, so they say. But you know, that's why you got the Napoleon complex.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Now that's to me a negative connotation. I mean, like you short as fuck and you're upset about it. You mad about this shit, so you gotta cause.
All short people don't have Napoleon.
No, they don't.
Napoleon
they don't.
complexes.
You shouldn't. All right,
let's get that straight.
Now we got number 35, Thomas Edison. All right, so now this right here helped introduce electricity in the electric light bulb, basically.
Right.
Okay. I mean, help introduce. You see
right.
what I'm saying? Alex, what is this?
He didn't invent the filament.
No, of course
the black man.
First of all, they had light bulbs during the Egyptian period.
Yeah.
With that, I think it was the Baghdad or something like that light bulb where they used it was a Baghdad battery, as a matter of fact, which is still using like electricity and shit, but copper.
Copper, yeah.
I mean, but see, nature.
But see, he had that copper filament at first, but the black guy invented that filament that lasts longer that we use today.
Clearly,
they don't give him the credit, but
they're never going to give anybody.
He was apprentice in Thomas Edison's shop.
Oh yeah, so basically, Thomas Edison was looking over that man, looking over his shoulder, taking the test.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay, I get it, Mr. Antony von. Good Lord, how much is this? What is this? Von Leeuwenhoek. Leeuwenhoek. All right, 1632, 1723. Okay, pretty much they say the founder of microbiology. When you start getting into these type of fields, I can't do anything but respect that because when you're dealing with microbiology, microorganisms and things like that up under microscopes, you're really dealing with health. Things you can deal with medicine and advancing pretty much human life and the quality of life. You breaking down certain things with bacterias, chemicals as well,
Right.
viruses, things like that. So anyone that helps spearhead microbiology and things that's going to go up under microscopes, I appreciate that. Okay, now we have I was talking to you about Mr. William T. G. Morton from 1819 through 1868. I like to give this guy some credit, although I know there were other numbing techniques naturally and holistic that existed.
Right.
This man pretty much introduced inhaling, we'll say, like ether in order for it to become like an anesthetic.
Okay.
So what that's going to do is it's either going to put you out, put you unconscious from time, or either it's going to numb the particular area so you don't feel the pain. So, but like I say, things that you can do in nature, that coca leaf. I have to look a little bit further into that, but I mean, you know, ice numbs.
Wasn't Native Americans or indigenous folks chewing on coca leaves
Yes.
to numb stuff?
Yeah, they were
during times like back
and
in-
alcohol can help numb too.
right.
And you know, so they will ferment certain things. You know, ferment and fruits or vegetables, the potatoes and things, and use that.
Oh, okay.
That's why you would see people. I mean, believe it or not, they advise not to do this, but you can if you out here like let's just apocalyptic times. You could actually pour some liquor or alcohol on a wound. You know what I'm saying? That's all you got.
Now say they debunked that, said that liquor, alcohol does not clean a wound.
It don't, but you can pour it on
okay.
there. I mean, if it has some properties to it.
A little bit.
If you don't have anything, that's what I'm saying. It would be better than trying to dip it in that lake water where you know got all that shit.
Microbiology, with all the microorganisms that's going to attach to your leg. I got you.
Okay, so now we have, what is this? Guillermo Marconi from 1874 to 1937. An engineer that helped basically develop radio transmission.
I think he was the founder of RCA.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Radio transmission with you not talking about that little RCA with the little dog near that?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was his company at first, but I think he lost it. He lost it some kind of way, but yeah, he was the first one. The RCA, RCA was like the first radio transmission company.
Okay.
Before then NBC came and all those companies, but yeah.
So I'm skipping over Hitler, y'all.
Yeah, we're gonna skip over
I'm skipping over Plato too. You know what I mean? You know, all them folks that if you're gonna rob, you know what I'm saying, the Egyptians and all of that, we skipping. All right. So now we got a Oliver Cromwell, 1599 to 1658. Basically, what is this? Like kind of says like a leader of like the parliamentarian
English Civil War, yeah. Irrelevant to us.
Exactly.
Moving on.
All right. We got Alexander Graham Bell coming in at 42. Try to say inventor of the telephone, you know. Yeah. Yeah, that's what y'all want to say. All right. Now, I did a little bit on this dude once again because it's in the health field, y'all. I like saving lives. Mr. Alexander Fleming from 1881 through 1955, y'all. You'll be taking this to this day if you needed this penicillin. This man pretty much stumbled upon introducing penicillin, which is a dope-ass antibiotic. I would say it has definitely saved lives as far as during his time period. That's definitely groundbreaking because they didn't really have any antibiotics. So picture someone creating something that damn near wipes out a lot of the sicknesses, with the exception of like them smallpox and tuberculosis and stuff back.
Right.
So let me see. I will read something of significance from him. We'll just say something. I'll go to the scientific contributions. So during World War I, Fleming, and it says in Leonard Colebrook and Sir Almroth Wright joined the war efforts and practically moved the entire inoculation department, of St. Mary's to the British Military Hospital. So they already doing something, you know what I'm saying? That's positive, because you definitely, if they're doing something in the medical realm in war, you definitely need that.
Right.
All right. So it just basically says serving as a temporary lieutenant of the Royal Army Medical Corps, he witnessed the death of many soldiers from sepsis resulting in infected wounds. So antiseptics, which were used at the time to treat the infected wounds, he observed often worsened the injuries. Wow. So in an article published in the medical journal, The Lancet, in 1917, he described an ingenious experiment which he was able to, he was able to conduct as a result of his own glass blowing skills, in which he explained why antiseptics were killing more soldiers than the infection itself during the war. All right, so it worked well on the surface, but deep in the wounds, the beneficial agents produced that protected the patients in these cases, at least as well as they removed the bacteria and did not remove the bacteria that were out of reach. So basically, it's saying it didn't get all the way in
the wound.
Mm-hmm.
So it got the top of it, but it was still festering underneath.
All right, and so it's important to say, like, an antiseptic is something that you put on a wound anyway. Penicillin is something that you ingest. So
right.
That's how you.
That's going to kill it from the inside out. Right.
So, yeah, can you go ahead and give that an applaud for me?
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? Somebody finally figured out how to go within to solve something without.
We're gonna go with that.
All right, yeah. All right, so now we got John Locke, 1632 through 1704. English philosopher, basically promoted liberal democracy and social contract, or Democrat and social contracts. So usually anytime you're dealing with something that's democratic, you really, I guess, supposed to be for the people. Or yeah, Lab gave me that look, you know what I'm saying? Because during them times, it probably definitely wasn't for us.
No, especially,
All right. I found this one interesting. Beethoven got on this list, y'all, from 1770 to 1827. Obviously, y'all know he composed classical music.
I think he was better than Mozart, but hey.
Wow.
A lot of people contribute Mozart as the best classical music composer. That's because he was composing music early, and like at 5 or 6. But I think Beethoven was better.
Okay.
Then Bach, then Mozart.
So I think I'm gonna round this one off with, since everybody has, and I want you to look this name up so we can go go a little bit deeper in this guy. But his name is Louis. I think this is pronounced like Daguerre or Daguerre. And it's he is 1787 to 1851, but he pretty much had a lot to do with helping to invent the camera.
Photography.
Exactly. And I know all of us definitely using our camera phones right about now. But if you start looking into the mechanisms and the chemical procedures that go in just taking a picture, I was like, damn, back then they had mercury in them cameras.
Oh, wow.
Metal plates and type of sheetings. You had to have certain things that were hard enough to be able to get the image imprint on it. But I found it interesting that he said something like he was able, it's a quote that he has about light. And can you look that quote up for me?
About light?
When he finally figured out how to, because it's about timing. Some of the images would last long, but they wouldn't be permanent because of the chemicals and the dyes and the things that they were using when they were taking the pictures.
Oh, okay.
Also, I found it interesting that it had to be a certain temperature.
Back then they had to have a certain, that flash, not the flash, but the light, they used the sun to make the picture.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? They used the sun to make the picture back then before they got the flash and all that. But the sun was pretty much burning the image onto whatever they used to capture it. So if you're standing in front of the sun, you had the reflective in front of you, or I believe it was behind you.
And they were mentioning it's a mirror in the camera.
But there's mirrors in cameras now.
Yes, exactly, because it reflects the sun. They have to, and so it's also something like it might be some glass in there or something like a prism or something to which catches colors too.
But just going out there, I'm not trying to get off this topic,
Uh-huh.
but in Europe they have where like say you have a camera and you're trying to video record something. You can only in Europe you only can record it for 30 minutes because you have to have a mirrorless camera to record it longer.
Wow.
So like all these cameras over here, like say you go buy a new camera and you just set it up to record. If it's not mirrorless, it will only record for 30 minutes.
And then what happens? Like, do you have to record again? So it'll be a lag, and you got to patch it or something.
Right. Yeah, you have to do that and edit it in. But
so in other words, you can miss something in real time.
Right.
Isn't that kind of like what them CCT cameras are like? Whatever. Are they like that? Damn near to a degree or something? Or?
CCT cameras are
They're mirrorless.
Yeah, but they're not. Well, say cameras that you plug into your computer. They're considered mirrorless because they're plugged into another source to get to portray the image. You don't portray the image within the camera. You get what I'm saying? So like when you're doing video, and it's storing your video image in the camera. Whereas cameras that hook to the computer are storing a video image in the computer.
Oh, yeah.
It's not storing it within the camera, so they're considered to be mirrorless because they don't have to.
Okay.
The reflection
I see,
is. You get what I'm saying? Yeah.
And then you got to pull that image. I mean, and it's interesting to see how they used to develop the film to what's happening now. And then they went from.
I can't find his quote. There's a lot on him in here.
Oh man. And see, it was something like I've seen the light or I've harnessed it like, I had it too. And it was just funny because it was like a eureka moment.
Right.
But I do know one phrase that they have would be from that Rene Descartes, which is the French philosopher from 1596 to 1650. He's the one, and mathematician with the "I think, therefore I am" thought. So I mean, I guess that lasted. I guess that was so in 1650. Shit, I think, therefore I am. Oh my God.
Right.
But so I mean, we had a little bit of fun today, delving into the history to see why certain people are so influential. A lot of it we still use today. So I mean, that's definitely certifiable as to why they were. But when you do get to the names that we like to try to omit, like the Hitlers and things like that, it's quite bogus. But one thing that I did learn, and I'm doing some more deep diving now, because if you can go back to these Pythagoreans and these Socrates, then you got to go before that. And so my thing is, the knowledge before that had to be like, that's that uncut, pure, that truth knowledge, that where you can literally start applying it then and there, because they had to get it from nature.
Right.
Like the Greek philosophers, they got their info from man, or from what they stole. You see what I'm saying? Or from what had to be interpreted to them.
Right.
But I call them like the elite, the enlightened beings before them. They got theirs from the source.
Right.
And the source is still here. The source ain't left, because the source is nature, is earth. Earth didn't leave us. We still here. We just
don't partake in nature as much as we used to back then, because nature back then gave us a lot of. So I mean, think about Egyptian time. It was pretty much nature. They would set up things in castles in their homes to where the wind can blow through to kind of give them air conditioning because it was so hot. Things of that, just nature itself, how they applied it, how they used it in all their art and their paintings and their, papyrus was nature. It was something from nature that they wrote on. So a lot of
ink come from nature too.
Right. So.
But what I wanted my listeners to understand, and what I wanted to get off to, is in doing some of this research and looking at these people and looking at the time periods and reading how they're described, you start realizing who the conquerors were. And to me, conquering can be kind of equated with evil, because if you're conquering someone, you're not uniting. Because I gave a person that united China. So it ain't like they conquered some people in China, nothing like that. They united. You can unite, you know what I'm saying, tribes. You can unite countries. But when you conquer, that means that you're taking basically the land, the culture as well, and you're getting credit for things
that you didn't
and
do.
you're saying that these people are one of the 100 most influential people, but they've influenced you with a culture that they've stolen. You see what I'm saying? And some of it, when they conquer, they erase the history, or they get in there and they start blowing features off of sphinxes and things
Right.
like that.
Of course.
Start
That in itself.
burying and burning Dead Sea Scrolls, and start, trying to change up the diet and change up the images of what we've seen of who we were and who we are.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons why I did this, to see who they really hold high, and the world holds high.
Right.
This ain't westernized. This the world hold these folk high, man. So, but some of the most important people out there are tuned in to me. That's how that's my most influential. The people, the like-minded people.
And this list was
my
written
people.
This list was written with one eye open.
Yeah,
Let's just say that there's one biased eye open. It wasn't a list of all people who's changed history over the course of time. It was just the people that this person who wrote this book felt did the most for history, and most was influential as far as changing history. And he probably wrote it with one eye open.
Exactly,
So
man.
we're not gonna take it to take it to heart.
Sometime coming up in the near future, I'll do an episode and I'll have our influential. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna try to go back. I'll try to go back and see, historic wise, try to get some of the information on our history as how it was passed down, man.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we start hearing it, it starts becoming tales. The tales are lovely, and it starts getting into. You'll start hearing a lot of tribes, man.
Mm-hmm.
You'll start hearing a lot of Indians along with us as far as what we got going on. When you go back to what we've accomplished and
That's
what
right.
we've done influential. So on that note, I appreciate everyone that is tuned in. I've learned something. Lab has learned something. I'm sure you've learned something, man. I'm Shooter, a.k.a. Dose. You done been shot with a couple of CCs or something. And I'll see y'all next Monday. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Shit. Grams leaders CCs, pounds. Close cash, close call, close encounter, close up. Pounds of liters of grams, get your dose up. Cut this up, host up, and get dosed up. This for them voted like the move and make the most of. Monday night at 8, I can't wait to set you straight. These opinions and debates, for them folk they can't relate. I gotta elevate your mind through these signs of the time. Dishing out that medication for that